So you can probably tell, I may love Hilton more than your average person, especially over the past 7 years of really maximizing Hilton on his credit card, staying at the majority of the brands that they actually offer out in the world, accumulating and redeeming for actual stays more than 500,000 Hilton Honors points over the course of just the last few years between my wife and I. I've definitely done more than my fair share in the world of Hilton hotels and their credit cards. But there is one mistake that I made that I absolutely regret, and if I could go back in time, I would have changed this differently had I watched this video, and that was not taking advantage of the best welcome offers possible, which are available right now with the Hilton Honors credit cards. Specifically, right now, you can get the no annual fee Hilton Honors credit card for 70,000 bonus Hilton Honors points and a free night reward. That's right, the free night certificates are back, baby, and a lot of people are amped for them, and that's why I wanted to make this video, so this way you don't make the same mistake that I did, which is years ago when I actually got approved for the majority of our Hilton Honors credit cards. Only one of those welcome offers that I ever got included a free night certificate. Whereas if I'd done things differently, we could have had a total of 4 free night certificates, which basically cost me thousands of dollars by this point. Now, first and foremost, I issued a free guide through my newsletter just about last week, which is actually maximizing free night certificates and everything you would ever need to know about them if this is your first time encountering them. And this is something I'm going to go through in this video, but if you want access to this free guide in written form, I'm going to leave it down in the pinned comment below. So I hope you click on that. I hope you get it. And I hope you get some value from it. And so at the beginning of this newsletter, I wanted to open up with the possibility of free night certificates, which I think would actually be the best place to start for this video. So I mentioned that you could actually potentially stay for the cherry blossom season in the world of Astoria, which I literally did myself not too long ago in one of the most fancy hotels in the entire world, which you can see right here if I click into it and go to hit more rates. And if I look at the taxes and fees included, quite literally $1,057 for just one night in this awesome hotel. And you could do it all with just one singular free night certificate that you can get once again with these welcome offers that are on the Hilton Honors credit cards right now. And so if this is your first time encountering or hearing about free night certificates, you're asking what exactly are Hilton free night certificates? So free night certificates are exactly as the name implies. You literally have a certificate that they email you once you actually earn one or get one. You could then use that to call up Hilton and say, hey, there's a Hilton property that I want to go to. Okay, can I use my free night certificate? And then they book it for you completely for free, no taxes, no fees whatsoever, just a free and clear hotel stay. So then once people understand what a free night certificate is, then they usually ask, okay, then how do you earn Hilton free night certificates? So there's a couple of ways that I wrote down here. Number one is just via the welcome offers. So that's the exact offers that I was mentioning in the beginning, where you can get this standard Hilton Honors no annual fee card. You could spend $2,000 in the card in the first 6 months of owning it, and you'll actually get 70,000 Hilton Honors points, which in my estimation, usually around $350 in travel value, can typically get you 1 or 2 nights in a decent hotel, and then plus a free night reward, which you can use for really powerful stays. And we'll go into maximizing that value in just a little bit. And then also on the Hilton Surpass card, you can pay $150 annual fee, and you get, after $3,000 worth of spend in the same 6 months, 130,000 points and a free night reward. The second way you could actually earn Hilton free night certificates are actually through spend. Now, if we look at the Hilton Surpass card and we go down a little bit, you could actually see something called a free night reward, right? The exact same thing. However, this one is different in that to be able to actually earn this free night award, you have to spend $15,000 in a calendar year. So January 1st to December 31st, one full calendar year. As long as you spend $15,000 on your Hilton Surpass card, you're actually going to be getting and granted a free night certificate that can be used the exact same way as the ones in the welcome offer. And then on top of that, the Hilton Aspire card, and actually one of the third ways to earn a Hilton free night certificate, is having a card like the Hilton Aspire card, where you could actually pay a $550 annual fee and you'll get a lot of different benefits and credits. One of them actually is a free night certificate every single year, every time you pay that annual fee, till forever or until you cancel or downgrade the card at some point in the future. So that's another way to get the Hilton free night award. And you could also see, if we're talking about spend, you could actually earn a free night award on the Aspire after spending $30,000 and $60,000 in purchases in a calendar year, much like the Surpass at 15,000 in a calendar year. Now, the next question people typically have, and one that's actually really important, is, do they expire? Do Hilton Honor free night certificates actually expire? And the answer is yes. And they expire always 1 year from issuance. So if you got it on March 1st, 2025, it's going to expire March 1st, 2026. And then some people theorize, myself included, when I first got started, is well, okay, it expires in 1 year, but do I have to do the stay within 1 year? Like, could I book out a year past the expiration date, but so long as I redeem it before it expires, I'm good? The answer is no. You cannot do that. You actually have to commit and do the stay pretty much on the day of or any time before expiration to be able to be eligible to use that free night certificate. But here's something that I learned by being really crazy and asking around and actually calling up Hilton Honors just a few years ago. One time, I had a situation where I wanted to use a Hilton Honors certificate in Nashville, Tennessee. There was a certain hotel I wanted to stay at, and I had a free night, but it was expiring soon. So I said, okay, I'm going to call Hilton and see what the deal is. See if I can extend it. Just say there was an issue. Who knows? And what I found out on that phone call, and I didn't see this anywhere else before I actually made this call a few years ago. And I called them and I said, hey, something came up. Could I extend it? I'm not able to use it. And they said, oh, actually, we're working on a beta program right now for this exact thing you're asking for. And since you're one of the first people, we could actually extend it by 2 weeks. That's right. They literally at that moment went from an expiration call at March 1st to March 15th, extended 14 days, 2 weeks, to have it expire 2 weeks later, which actually ended up helping out a ton, which I thought was pretty powerful. However, since that date, and honestly, in the last 6 months to 12 months, I've been seeing more and more data points of people who have been trying this after watching my old videos and actually saying, like, hey, they're actually able to extend upwards to a month now. That's right. So, literally, even though it expires within a year, technically, you call them, if everything's fine, and they're still doing it, they will actually allow you to extend by a full month. So I think that's really important because so often a lot of people earn these free nights without a place in mind until it becomes a little bit too late. They scramble and maybe they're not able to travel during those 12 months. But if you extend it by a month, maybe you can make it work. So something to know and something most people aren't even aware that you can do. But as far as extending it, that's like the most you can really do, you know, and then you better make sure you get that free night certificate done in that time frame. Also, a quick anecdote I found is many years ago they actually used to offer a free night after a certain amount of spend, so not including the annual fees on cards, not including welcome offers, just some sort of a challenge or a bonus, what have you, throughout the year. Last time we saw it, I guess, was 2022. I must have missed it, but they said here, oh, you could spend 8K and get a free night certificate. I've never personally encountered this in my time. I just wasn't looking for it, and I haven't seen it in recent times, but I thought that was fairly interesting in all the ways that you can earn a free night certificate as well. So then here's basically one of the most important things to know about free night certificates: the value of them, right? They range wildly. You have for sure a Hilton Garden Inn that is down the block from you that is probably $60. And yeah, you could use a free night certificate there. But then there's also some properties that are around $2,000 every single night, and you could also use a free night certificate there. So it varies wildly, and it's not something that you want to squander unless you absolutely need to. It's one of those things that it's kind of like gold, as your golden ticket to a great hotel. So if you can, you might as well hold out and use it for the most expensive stay possible to make it the most worth it, because otherwise maybe you would never be able to pay cash for that particular hotel, or you would never be able to amass a certain amount of points to book out that hotel as well, but you probably wouldn't have an issue with paying a free night certificate for that particular stay. So this is where the huge max value comes in, and you can really set yourself up for some great stays if you do it correctly. And that's where I'll typically, and I did in this newsletter, is I showed all of the different hotels that would be eligible to use your free night certificate on to get the most value possible. Now, there's one caveat on where you're able to use it. So now, as you may have heard, free night certificates are generally what is considered uncapped. So it doesn't matter how many points it is, doesn't matter the hotel for the most part. There's a few exclusions, but for the most part, it really doesn't matter what the hotel is. Basically, the most important thing and almost the only thing that matters is, does it say standard room reward? You could see it right here. It says 120,000 points, but it doesn't really matter. It says standard room reward, and that means yes, you can use your free night certificate there. So no matter what the property is, it could be the most crazy property in the world. If it says standard room, you can use your free night certificate there. There is a couple of exclusions, technically, which I actually put right up here. And if you click on it, you can see there's a few different properties. More often than not, they're Hilton Grand Vacations, like you could see here, Grand Vacations or the Club. These are more of the timeshare properties. So I'm not surprised on that's where they would have an issue. But any of these grand vacations or vacation club, these operate a little bit differently than most of the normal hotels that you and I would book. But you can at least see here are all the different hotels that would be disqualified from using a free night certificate on. So if you ever want to figure it out, you can just go on my newsletter and you can click right there and it'll tell you all the exclusion before you book. So then, as I mentioned right here, so all you have to do is find if it says standard room. How you know it won't be eligible if it says premium room. So down there, if it says premium room, you know that's not eligible. And here's a very good example of what I'm talking about. So you can see right here, Palazzo Manfredi, SLH Hotel, small luxury hotels, 120,000 points a night, but it's standard room, which means we could use it there. Right next to it is the Palazzo Talia, SLH Hotel, same brand, premium room, which means you cannot use it there. So that's the biggest discrepancy. Just make sure to see what room type it is, and then that'll give you your idea of where you can use it. But when in doubt, if you really don't know, you could always call Hilton, ask them, and they will say yes or no if you could use it there or not. But really, it's not that hard to search around and see for yourself. Before we go into some of the other nuanced topics, like can you transfer free night certificates? Can you gift them? Can you do all these different things? Let me show you some examples of how powerful free night certificates can actually be on a bunch of hotels all around the world where you are eligible to use them. So firstly, I showed you guys earlier the Waldorf Astoria. We saw that this was when you clicked on the room rates, we saw that it was basically $1,000 every single night. And yes, you can use a free night there. But there are some other examples. Like, for example, I was looking in Napa, California recently, and I saw some pretty interesting hotels, like this one in particular, the Carneros Resort and Spa SLH Hotel. What you can see right here is a standard room. If we want to just book this Garden Cottage King for one night on the Hilton Honors discount, this would end up being $983 every single night. And yes, you can use a free night there. Another example would probably be here in Orlando, at least here in the US. And that would be the Conrad in Orlando, which is also a property a lot of people like to go to. A lot of people find value there when they're going to, maybe Disney and whatnot. Check out the rates. This one's $606 a night, which is also very powerful. Not as much as some of those other ones, but also well worth it for anybody who wants to go there. If we go over to Japan, which I always like to showcase because a lot of people have told me over the years they love to stay at this Conrad in Tokyo. We can see the rates right here. This room right here looks like it's about 142,470 yen per night, which we could type in right here to USD, and that would end up being $962 every single night. So that's also a great redemption. What about this hotel we showcased a little bit throughout this video? This one on the honors discount, 903 euros. Should we put that in? That's 979 a night. So all around 1,000 a night. And what the heck, since I'll be staying in a property probably very similar to this very, very soon in Paris, this would end up being 757 euros. So about $800 in USD. So you kind of get the point. You get the point of what's possible and the total value you can possibly get. And there's some examples I showed you at different times of the year where it's not just 1,000, but it's 1,500 or $2,000 every single night for these particular hotels, depending on where you're traveling and what hotels you would like to stay in or what areas you're going to be in. So that's really what you're going to want to do is really search around, find the redemptions that you want, see some hotels all around the world that already work within your travel plans and see where you can use these free nights to use them at these crazy hotels and get those experiences while you can. And now some people ask to get a little bit deeper on it. They want to know a direct strategy to get the most value or how could I do this every year? And since you already know exactly what these free night certificates are, how to earn them, how to get the most value, and some examples all throughout the world, so this way you can find them yourself for the best value possible. Some people then ask a couple of other things like, can you transfer Hilton free night certificates to someone else? And the answer is unfortunately no. Free night certificates cannot be transferred to anyone once they're actually given to you. But there are some workarounds with that. And like I always mention, they're not going to work 100% of the time, but there's ways kind of around a lot of these things. Most of the time, there's a few different options you can kind of go through and what I outline here. So number one is you can book a stay for two guests, add their name to the reservation, and then you can call the hotel and say the guest is going to check in. This happens a lot of the time. A lot of people end up doing that where they have their wife and what have you, they're traveling, and you can say, hey, call the hotel and say, hey, I'm so and so, and my wife, who's also on the reservation, is going to check in for me. Is that okay? Some of them will say yes, and some of them will say no. For the most part, this is the riskiest option and the one that I would probably recommend the least because the worst case scenario is you get somebody who, oh, I didn't hear that phone call, and then your person is stranded there. So that's something you don't want to have happen, especially if you're so far away from the hotel, you're not going to be able to have them check it. Now, the second method, which I think is also one of the more risky ones, because, well, it involves actually giving access to your Hilton Honors app to a spouse, a family member, what have you. If you just give them your login on the actual Hilton app itself, for most of these Hilton properties, they all have now a Bluetooth check-in where you have a digital key. So there's a little button there when you get close to Hilton hotel doors and you're actually staying there. You click the button, it unlocks the door, and they can get in. So theoretically, if you book it on someone else's behalf, as long as they have their login, they don't need to go to the front desk to check in for anything. You could just check in right on the app, and then they could just go check in via the digital key, and no harm, no foul. This is a fairly easy option, and I think it's one that a lot of people already do nowadays. And then thirdly, which sometimes has glitches, so it's something to consider, but more often than not, if you check in, just add the other person to your reservation. Once you're fully checked into your hotel, you'll have access to the digital key, and there's an option there that actually states, oh, you can share the digital key with somebody, so they can literally have their own digital key, even without having access to your particular Hilton Honors account. And I would say that's definitely like one of the easiest options for sure. So a lot of different options. I say all this to say, as I've done some of them, I haven't done some of them. Data points and try at your own risk is the main thing. But just so you know that these things are possible in the first place. But some people also ask, combining multiple free night certificates, can you combine them? Can you add them? Like if you have 5 of them, can you do 5 consecutive stays? And the answer is yes, they can be used for consecutive nights. So when you go to actually book these Hilton free night certificates, you just call them on the phone and say, hey, I want to use my free nights. And then they also will ask you for a certain code that's in the email on the free night certificate that they send you via email. So you just give them that code and then they will book the free nights for you. Sorry, I forgot to put in the code part. All right, back to it. And they'll ask you how many, and you can give them as many as you want for that particular stay, and they'll do it all on their end. You don't have to do anything at that point. But especially a lot of people who watch my channel know that I really love doing American Express Fine Hotels and Resorts or doing some of these MasterCard hotels. And the answer is yes. If you're doing not only just cash stays, even point stays, even through these preferred programs, you could still call up Hilton, say, I want to use my free night, and you can book these hotels right after the next night. The only thing is, when you do book in those ways, the only caveat is if you're booking with points, like say you're booking a Hilton Honor stay with your Hilton points, so maybe you did 2 nights on points, 1 night free night certificate, they will be separate reservations. But if you call on the phone, you could actually say like, hey, I already have 2 nights here. You call them and say, can you merge the reservation? And the answer is yes, they will be able to do that. The only time you kind of cannot do that is when you're booking through like Amex's FHR or some of these preferred hotel programs, paying cash and whatnot. A lot of the times when you book through them, it's through a different program, and so when you actually book through them, it's a little bit harder for them to merge the room, especially if you got upgraded to a better room through these specific programs that allow you to do that easier. Sometimes they won't be able to merge with a worse room, and so you'll just have 2 separate reservations where you'll check out twice in the hotel, or sometimes they'll merge it and you'll check out once. But a lot of people wonder, like, okay, could I, merge the rooms? And the answer is it's at the hotel's discretion. Usually, what I'd advise is have Hilton try it first. If they can't, call the hotel. If they can't, try again at check-in. And if they can't, then you just have to pack up your bags, move to a different room, which I've done many times at hotels as well. But it's something to know. Again, nonetheless, if you had no idea that it's possible, it is possible. It's just a phone call away. Try it out. And so, for those of you who actually got the guide, which again is linked in the pinned comment below, there's an advanced strategy here. I'm not going to go into it in this video, but if you want to go through it, it's for those, not for the faint of heart, but it's definitely for the upper echelon of credit card points maximizers. So check that out if you want to. But now that you know all of that, now what? Now what do you do? And that is to figure out where you're going to use your free nights. Figure out exactly how you're going to maximize them, how you're going to earn them. Are you going to go for these limited time free night certificate of welcome offers, which are again linked down in the pinned comment below? I appreciate you if you use it. And so some people will wonder, even though this is a great breakdown, I want to know what that full experience looks like from beginning to end. Well, if you want, click on this video right here because it's going to go through my actual account of using a free night certificate at the Mills House down in Charleston, South Carolina. It was a very amazing stay, but it's good to know how you can stack your free nights with Hilton Gold status and everything in between. So I hope to see you there. I hope you get some value from it and enjoy, have fun, be safe, and go travel. Have some fun. Okay. All right. Take care, everybody.